Okay, friends. Hello. We're back, and we're gonna get some revenge on this achievement that has really been a thorn in our side for the whole last video. As we were expecting to go and get a whole bunch of achievements, but we got stuck on probably the hardest one, at least for 100 duplicants. But we're gonna get it this time. And for those of you who are unaware, here's the rules for this run that I have to follow. I have to play on the Frosty DLC, which we're doing. I'm playing in the base game. We have to get every single achievement, which we are struggling with right now, but we're going to get it. And we also have to take 100 duplicants, which we've been at for quite a while, more than half of this run now. So there we go. Here's what we're going to do. We need a plan of attack to deal with this. So this is my new room. I didn't talk about it a ton at the end of the last episode because it was meant to kind of connect into this one. This room is meant to be the result of lots of studying. So what I've found out is that showers, everything in here definitely counts as an errand for the day. Both recreation and like bath time stuff. So the plan here is I'm going to give enough showers for everybody to hopefully shower every day. But the rest of this recreation stuff is meant to be kind of like a backup, just in case they don't happen to get to the shower in the day. This backup stuff is consisting of jukebots, arcade cabinets, mechanical surfboards, and beach chairs. By the way, the beach chairs do not have the errand complete any faster if you have a light above them. They just get more morale for it, so I can do this basically for free by doing it this way in terms of like power costs. So, this is the setup that I think will work, but I need my duplicants to be very bored and very willing to go in here and do things on a regular basis. The other trick that I'm having a hard time figuring out is how long should their breaks be and how many duplicants should be in one shift at a time. So I've gone all the way up to like 8 or 10 break blocks, but the problem with that is then they will do every single one of these in one day. And that will be basically compromise my insurance because these buffs on here typically last a lot longer than just one day. I wish there was a way to tell, and I swear there was at one point. So if you know, please leave a comment and I will read it in between segments of this video to see if there's a way to tell in-game how long the buffs are that get granted by these duplicants doing these things. So let's take Catalina, for example. You can see passively relaxed, played video games, showered, recently danced. Those are all the things that she has done recently, but I don't know how long any of those take, because it's not like I can go into this menu and then mouse over it to get an idea of how long it takes. Lots of other things will say this lasts for a day, or this lasts for 2 days, or whatever, and it'll give you a timer on how long it lasts. As far as I can tell, the buffs that these things give last like a few days. So my thought here, and I'm reconsidering this a little bit, but my thought here is just to add enough recreational activities that they won't have enough time during a day to do like all 4 of them. They might have time to do maybe 2, but that should hopefully keep them open to doing the rest. Now that I'm looking at this again, I've been constantly wrestling with this thought. I might add a couple of hot tubs down here, as I still do have the water warming setup right here, with a liquid tepidizer, a thermosensor, and all that fun stuff to make sure the water's warm enough for hot tubs. Hot tubs also work. They also give a very long buff, and they also take a long time. So I'm kind of torn on whether something taking a long time is good or bad, because the good part is that they'll take a long time, but they'll usually take up their entire break time doing something that takes a long time, which is good. I only want them doing basically one thing that counts toward an errand in their suit per day. So I guess we'll see if the hot tub winds up helping. The other thing that I really wanted to do is I wanted to get duplicants back in their like home areas. I think part of the problem is because the duplicants with this many and this late in the game, you can see how long it takes for them to decide to do something. Even Ellie here, for some reason, just got up and then sat back down again. There's a whole bunch of instances in which duplicants will just sit there and not do anything, which is really not helpful. Again, why are you getting up? Where are you going? Oh, you're tired. Okay. Yeah, I might need to rebuild the schedules here to maybe have them do all this stuff as soon as they wake up. That might be a better way to do it. But I have rebuilt the schedules and I've tried everything I can think of. Well, not everything. There's a few other things that we can try that I haven't busted out yet. But I want to see if this is going to work. So, yeah, I'm going to start quarantining duplicants to their own little home areas again, and I will create different versions of this setup in every one of those places, except for the Somnium Synthesizer. I'm not having these duplicants do anything anymore. At least not right now when I need them to participate in showering and recreational stuff. So, I will make versions of all those rooms in each of these little colonies, and I will send all the duplicants back to those colonies. And hopefully, if I have their block, after they wake up, it'll be the first thing that they do to start the day. Hopefully they'll use the bathroom, they'll take a shower, then they'll do a recreational activity. If I can set it up that way, it should work. But we've got some other things that we need to solve before any of this is going to happen. And namely, like I mentioned in the last video, I don't want my duplicants running on these hamster wheels. Because as far as I can tell, between them taking forever to decide to do something since there's so much going on, and how long this task can take to complete, I've noticed there's a sharp dip in the number of duplicants we can get doing this task every day if they're having to generate power on their own. Ideally, I would have them idling a lot throughout the day so that all that they really have any desire to do is recreational buildings and showering, which is all I need them to do in order to get this. But we need a lot more power in order to make this happen. So we're going to focus on taking a steam vent here, a hydrogen vent here, and there's another hydrogen vent somewhere on the map that I don't remember right here. Here we go. So we're going to create setups for all three of those things and get those all put together so that we can get these duplicants off of here, have plenty of power to power all the expensive recreational buildings. I think I will add hot tubs back to this, by the way. I do think having as much variety as possible is going to help, but I've just like kind of gone a little insane trying to figure out how to make this work. I guess, should I get rid of some of these beach chairs? I don't know. This will also be less trafficked of an area, considering we will have a lot of those duplicants up in the other, like, segregated colonies, so yeah. Let's get a lot of this stuff underway, though. The first thing that we need to do is take these power setups. So I'll set up one of these hydrogen vents and the steam setup. Then we'll come back and we'll review those, because it's been a minute since I've talked about those. I'll take the other hydrogen setup here in just a bit. That'll also propel us forward because we need to start working on rocket missions once again. And part of that is we need to start getting duplicants out to further asteroids, which means that we need... Yeah, you can see our job suitability is quite low right now, but there's a lot of stuff we still need to do. We need liquid hydrogen rocket fuel, which means we need a huge excess of hydrogen. So we're going to take those vents, and we are going to set those up. And I guess since the last one ended on kind of like a bitter note, let's make this one a little bit more fun, and let's put together a montage for these two builds. So I'll do the steam turbines first, and then we'll do the hydrogen one second. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, here we go. We've got our steam set up, and I'm going to do this one a little bit differently than what I've done before. I'll explain my reasoning here just to see if we get a little bit more out of this. I'm going to open this up, but of course as soon as we do this, the steam vent goes dormant, so you gotta love that. So this will be a little while before this is up and running, but considering how long it's taking to do a lot of these later videos, it might come back online before the end of this one. So if it does, we'll talk about it. Or we'll see it working anyway. I'm going to talk about it now. So the idea here is the steam will come out at 500C. I want to run an experiment and see if it is efficient at all to wait until water condenses down at the bottom of this. And I could probably wait until like above, I don't know, 100? The idea that I want to get out of this is I want to let the steam come out and reboil some of the water that's down here. just so that instead of getting one pass through our steam turbines, maybe we'll get more than that. I'm not sure if that is going to be viable or if that's going to be worthwhile. We could also potentially geotune this, which I haven't really done that much with yet. But it would help the reboiling of the water, so I don't know. That might be something that I try out. But I did put it in a huge room like this because I want to hook it up to a smart battery and only run these turbines if I actually need the power, giving us plenty of space to keep our steam stored so that we can hang on to it in the meantime and let the steam build up and let this use it when it's actually ready instead of just when this is erupting. So that's going to be the idea here. I did create a new cooling setup right next door, so that's just going to be chilling over here. And just getting everything vacuumed out for the time being so we can start running our aqua tuners when those are done. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Another thing that I need to address, and by the way, I'm finally caught up to a point where the comments are now relevant on the video. So at the time that I'm filming is the day after the previous episode had been released. So I've got a good amount of comments that we're going to address right now. Before we talk about any of the comments about our achievement hunting, we're just going to talk a little bit about the geothermal pump again. So, I've made a couple of changes to this. There was a comment that said, hey, you should add more steam turbines to the geothermal setup, and I agree. I had been planning on adding some at some point, but I wanted to see if I could get that achievement done first, and since we can't, I guess we'll just do it now. So we have added 5 steam, or rather we are at a total of 5 steam turbines at every single location that has one of these geothermal vents. So we're at full power here, but I did make a couple of adjustments. One of which is the issue I was having down here, and I was toggling this on and off at random times, was that the amount of heat that gets put out from this is actually more than these turbines can handle if these aqua tuners are running. And these aqua tuners are running pretty much non-stop because I need to keep this area cooled down, or at least I need to keep all these turbines cooled down since the steam that's going to be coming in is sometimes extremely hot. So yeah, that is definitely a challenge that we have. But with this running and with stuff erupting inside here, these would eventually get overrun and start breaking because it was too hot. So I created a little bit of a different setup for this than what we were doing before. So I created this. What we have is all of the areas that are bringing water back for our geothermal setup. They, again, we're on an Atmos sensor to make sure that we're not sending it out of the room if we're at too low of a pressure. If we're ever above 20 kilograms per tile, we're going to send the water back into the system. But rather than sending it into the pump right away, I'm only going to send it in when those rooms have cooled enough to a point that it makes sense to actually let water flow back in here. So I will just be storing all this water in a vacuum, which I need to reestablish, by the way. I messed it up because I replaced some tiles without blocking them off properly. But I'm just going to be storing all this water in a vacuum, and when those rooms are cool enough is when I'm going to allow the water to go back into the system. So I'm storing a bunch of the extra water here, and it's not going to re-erupt until these rooms are all below like 185 C. Once they are that low is when we'll allow the next eruption. So that'll be a good way to basically keep these rooms from overheating and also keeping our steam turbines running at full power without overwhelming them. So that's another little adjustment that I wanted to make here and that I wanted to talk about. So we do have a good amount of extra power, at least we will once this system is all up and running again. We're waiting for this to get refilled, and we're waiting for a couple other things to get fixed here before it's all up and running. But yeah, so we've got a little bit of a mess going on in a couple of these, but it still works just fine. So yeah, that's the plan here. I need to check to see, okay, yeah, all the oxygen is still in here. So yeah, now that we're all expanded out, this should be operating a little bit more effectively than it was before. So that is going to be the idea here. And sorry, I'm just checking this. Why is this still overheating? This isn't a vacuum right now. Oh well, I'll just deconstruct this. So, that's that. Let's finally address some comments. Let me check my notes here for the ones that I wanted to address. So first of all, people had lots of ideas about how to get this achievement since we have been struggling so much. One of which was going to be my last resort option, which is basically rebuilding all the duplicant bedrooms and forcing them to get in a suit before they leave and before they go out and do something. I've done that in the past to help them get achievements. You do have to make sure that they do something other than ranching, because ranching apparently doesn't count toward it, which is just, that doesn't make sense to me, but okay. So there's that. That's going to be my last resort. If I can't figure anything else out, I'm going to do that, but only because that takes so much infrastructure. I'll probably put it over here on the side somewhere, make them leave to get in their suits. I'll have to augment all of these little mini colonies to be accommodating of that as well. So I don't want to have to do that, but that'll definitely be an option if we can't figure anything else out. Another thing people mentioned is mopping and building will count as errands. So what you could do is have them constantly constructing and deconstructing drywall. So I could just have them come in here and do a bunch of jobs in their suits and constantly ask them to do that and then deconstruct it. That is an option. The only problem with that is it doesn't cover the duplicants that don't build. So you might need to make sure that those other duplicants have something else to do inside a suit that will help that out. We could try that too. I'll probably try that before I will try forcing everybody to be in a suit all day. One thing that I'm going to test so that I don't say something incorrect is somebody, or actually a lot of people had the idea of, what if you just put hamster wheels inside here and had duplicants run on the hamster wheels to get their errands for the day? I'm pretty sure that that does not count as an errand, but I have never explicitly tested it before. So let's check. What I'm going to do is block everybody from being able to access any of the showers or recreation buildings in each of these places. I'll also block off these doors so these duplicants don't have anything to do in these in the kitchens, so that they're not wearing suits and messing up our numbers. And we'll see how effective that is. I think I'll just make a huge bank of hamster wheels here. We'll hook them all up, and then I will see if that does count as an errand for the day. It's going to take me a little bit to build that and test this out, but I'm willing to try it, only because I have my thoughts on whether it'll work or not, but I've never explicitly tested it, so I'm not going to make claims of something that I don't actually know. So, let's do that. I'm going to block off all the places that they would typically wear suits. I'll block it off up here as well, since they have the suits up here for their recreation. I'm not going to block them getting outside here because they still have some stuff to do, but this will at least, like, if we have this many duplicants and the hamster wheels are working, by the way, there are still some up here. If the hamster wheels are working as an errand, then we're going to know, because we'll have like 60 or 70 duplicants that are getting the task done rather than like 10. Or however many live up in that biome that might be going out and doing other errands. So I'll rebuild that, and I will set it up so that it uses that power before it really uses anything else. I have also, in a little bit of a fit of desperation, added some petroleum generators with a power control station. Just because we have a good amount of petroleum right now, and we do need power very badly. So I did set that up for the time being to help out. So I'll probably decommission this just to encourage duplicants to come in here and run on the hamster wheels when they need it. So now that we've got this all deconstructed, I'll just put a whole bunch of them down. And if they're going to be doing anything in these rooms, they have to be in suits. So we'll give this a try, and I'll let it run for a day. We're about to roll over to the next day anyway. But I don't want to, like, muddy the waters by having the building tasks count against that. So I might give it an extra day just to be sure. Let me add our joint plates here. I'm also going to be replacing all of my heavy watt wire with heavy conductive wire, just because we are getting a lot more strain on the power grid than I was expecting, and we are getting occasional instances of wires being damaged. Damaged stuff, if you can repair through it, is not the worst thing, but I figure we might as well, like, replace it so that we're not wasting time spending resources and stuff repairing it if we don't have to. So, it's not the biggest and most urgent thing, but if duplicants are idling, I'll have them replace that. So let's give this a try. Let's see if this works out. I will need another day to get all this stuff up and to start with a clean slate, and then we'll see how this does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work, but we might as well check it, and we'll see where we can get. In the meantime, while those duplicants are doing that, I'm going to start capturing these hydrogen vents. So I'm going to capture this one first, even though it says it's dormant. It might not be by the time we build it. Just the same thing as we had with our steam vent here. So I'll work on that, and I will also start taking the other the other hydrogen vent that's over here on the left, if the game would stop auto-saving for me conveniently. We'll take this one as well. So I'll probably get both of them up, and then I will talk about the implementation for them in just a bit. It's pretty straightforward, honestly, especially if you've ever seen any setups like that before, but I'll still talk about it. We'll get that done here in just a minute, and we'll get the results of our test of our massive farm of hamster wheels in here. So we'll know in a bit. Okay, we're at pretty much the end of the cycle. There have been duplicants on this pretty much all day because we have most of our major power sources are shut down right now. So they've definitely been in here and doing stuff. So let's see what kind of progress we've gotten on this today. 87. I'm surprised. I was pretty sure this did not count, but I don't know where else this would have been coming from, especially on this scale. So let me double check this. So we have all duplicants in here that are running on this. They don't have access to any of the stuff down here, so they should not be able to do that. Can they get access to somewhere else? So this still has access. I have not completed this yet, so these duplicants have probably done some. The duplicants up here have likely done some tasks out here. Not that many, but at least some. They're also blocked off from going inside their recreation area. The duplicants down here have probably done some stuff down in this biome, but not 87. That's a lot more than I expected. Huh. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's try this. Let me make a separate area that has these manual generators, and I will throw them somewhere that these duplicants can use, which will help them get this during work hours. This is so interesting. Now I'm really tempted to just load up like a sandbox or something and see if this is actually true. I was not expecting this to be 87. Okay. Cool. Well, I'm glad that we took the time to test this, because everywhere that I've seen says that this does not count. So, okay. Well, let me worry about the other power sources just in case. I'm working on the hydrogen setup right now, so it's going to look like this. We're going to need the hydrogen anyway for rocket fuel later, so maybe I'll only take this one, and then we'll see if we can get the achievement with a combination of this and the normal setup that we have with the showers and the recreation building, so that we're kind of like tripling up on things. Huh. What I wonder... I also have these set to very high thresholds, by the way. Does it count when they stop? I don't know when it counts as far as, like, them doing this. Huh. Okay, well, this could just also be a false alarm, but I still have no clue how I would have gotten 87 duplicants doing something in suits. Because 87 is a huge percentage of my colony, and there's only a few duplicants that would have not qualified for this. And I have to imagine they're probably down here or up here. Okay, unexpected result, but that's a pleasant surprise. So let me build a separate section that has all of the hamster wheels in there. I'm also going to add some more bathrooms in hopes that giving more duplicants, or rather giving more places for duplicants to do things, will help spread them out and keep them on a more predictable schedule. Okay, they all stopped at the same time, so I don't know if that's when it's... Whoa. I don't know if that's when anything is supposed to count. So let me see what our count is right now. Yeah, 41. Okay. Alright, I don't know why I'm still suspicious about this, but I swear I've tested this before, and I swear every source that I've seen has said this is not possible. But I'm seeing it right now. There's no way we just got 41 duplicants doing something that wasn't this big batch of them, so... Alright, well thank you very much for the suggestion. I guess this worked out. Cool, let me build that other section. I'll rebuild this to what it was before, and then hopefully this should be pretty easy if this is all going to work this way. So, yeah, let's go for it. All right, here we go. Hopefully this will do it. Let's start setting up our actual checkpoints so that my duplicants have to get into a suit before they head over here, and then we will enable all of the hamster wheels. We're also going to disable a bunch of power sources to encourage them to use that. So I guess we could start by the petroleum generators, and all I'll really need to do to cut most of these off is either turn off the thing that is, well, I guess an easier way to do this would probably just be to snip the automation wire. So we could just snip the automation wire for most of these so that they're not allowed to turn on, because most of these are hooked up to batteries. So these ones probably need to stay on because they process most of the hydrogen that will clog up all of our oxygen if we don't deal with that. We could probably disable all of the steam turbines that are running down here. So these ones we could probably do by just having them eventually get choked up by all the water output. So we could just do something like this to cut all these off, at least for these two. This top one I probably need to keep on because it's going to be responsible for a lot of the cooling. So yeah, we'll go through and we'll disconnect a bunch of them. Here's another one, by the way. We'll talk about this in just a second. Here's another oxygen setup that I created, by the way, only because we are really scraping the bottom of the barrel of oxalite. I've been meaning to do this for a little while, and now that we have a new cooling setup, we can hook all this stuff up to get more oxygen flowing up into our new suit banks. So I've been using that as a new oxygen highway to fill up all of our suit banks for the suits that are connected up to the hamster wheels. Let's also disconnect this. This is our hydrogen setup, which I'll explain really quickly. This setup is basically one that you have a big section of hot gas. This could be hydrogen, it could be carbon dioxide. I don't really know why you'd want to do that. It could be the hot polluted oxygen and whatever. If it's bordered via metal tiles to a room that has water or steam in it, then we can use a steam turbine to cool all that down. And the hydrogen will eventually come out at a fairly reasonable temperature. So it starts out at about 500, comes out at about 125. So that's the basics of this. The pump that we have over here is made of steel, but it's also behind a door that only opens if there's enough air pressure here, enough hydrogen. We don't want it running if there's barely anything. And also if the hydrogen has been cooled off enough by the time it gets to the door. So we don't want to overheat the gas pump, because if we were to set it right next to the hydrogen vent, it would just overheat the gas pump and break it. So that's the idea behind this. Pretty straightforward, at least for a few different types of vents. So we will be taking a few of them eventually, but for right now I think we only need the one, and we're already disconnecting it so that we can force our duplicants to run on these hamster wheels. We could also disconnect all of these. These are just our solar panels that have been running all game on the mercury that we've accumulated. So I could just snip the lights, and that ought to do it. So there we go. And then we enable these, and we just see if the achievement works. So we've already gotten either 99 or 100 on several days in a row from these other ones that are running. So we have all of the other areas that have hamster wheels as well, so we could get those during work hours. This is the only one that doesn't, because their work is mainly cooking. So they'll supplement that usually by cooking, but if we need to create another area for them, we will. We could probably just expand like up here or something. Probably not into here because this is still filled with zombie spores. But yeah, so we have that. We have all of the recreation rooms. The bottom area has its own recreation area and shower area behind suits. So there we go. And also a bank of hamster wheels just sitting down here because it's already behind a suit bank anyway. So hopefully with this, that ought to give us enough to finally get this achievement after so much pain and effort. I think this is going to do it. So I think I will just create a little montage section here, I suppose, of all the things that they're doing in order to keep this number up around 100, and I guess we'll see what we can do. But here we go. We've built up all of this for the last couple episodes, and let's hope we can do it. All right, let's go. Okay, got some small little adjustments here. One of which is I'm pretty sure this only gets counted as completing the errand if they finish charging a battery. And I say this because sometimes the duplicants will get off of the wheel if they need to go eat or use the bathroom or something like that. And this would be a good case here. If it doesn't charge the battery all the way, and you can see our battery levels right now, then they will not, I'm pretty sure, will not count for completing the errand. So all this time that they are spending running on this is kind of a waste, which means we probably need to go back to our original plan of getting all of our different power sources up so that these can really be more for cosmetics than anything else. So what I'm doing for the main colony to hopefully get a little bit of progress on this is each of these is just going to be hooked up to a light bulb. And that's going to be hooked up to one battery, and as soon as the battery level reaches 50%, it's going to ask for a duplicant to come do it. I might raise this up to like 80% so that these are constantly topped off, and it's advertising more of these duplicants, but I do have more power sources to take, so I think I'll just take care of that now. And we're going to take I forgot about this hydrogen vent here, by the way. So there's one here and one over here, which I always forget where it is. There we go. So we're going to take both of those, and hopefully that will crank up our hydrogen power to the point that we shouldn't need duplicants to run on these hamster wheels in order to actually give us power. I'm also going to add one to this colony just to make sure that they are getting enough duplicants that are doing tasks in their suits. So yeah, that's the plan. A little bit of an adjustment. We'll go ahead and make those adjustments and then see if after that winds up getting us the achievement. Finally, and hopefully. Okay, look. We have 3 out of 10 days. This is actually working. We need to whisper so that we don't ruin anything, because that seems to be what ruins stuff, is talking above a whisper. Alright, in all seriousness, this is actually doing very well. So I have each one of my generators connected to one battery and something that's going to drain the battery, like we talked about earlier. I've got one there. This setup down here is not ready. I do need to replace it, but fortunately building counts as one of the errands. So I'll replace these. There's one in the food prep area, like I mentioned I was going to do, so there we go. And we've gotten 3 days in a row, which is the first time we've gotten that for a long time. Our hydrogen setups are pretty much ready, so I just need to turn this on, actually. Wait. I swear I clicked it. So there we go. Pumping out some stuff from this hydrogen vent as well, so we shouldn't need to rely on manual power for a little while. It has stabilized, even though this one isn't quite done yet. But I think we are going to do it. I think we are very close. So let's just try to keep it down and not wake the beast. And hopefully we will get all 10 days in a row of 100 duplicants doing a job in a suit. I think we're going to do it, but let's see. Okay, friends, as you saw, we are getting very close to getting this achievement done. Let's take a look at our progress here. Assuming it loads, there we go. 80 out of 100, and we are not even halfway through the day, so I think we are going to clear it easily. So, yeah, final wrap up here of this achievement after we decommission all these areas once this is done. Yeah, this errand of charging a battery is what I'm going to say that it is. This definitely saved our bacon, because we were really struggling to figure out what would be the right thing. I also am not 100% sure why this setup didn't work as reliably as I would have expected it to, because the duplicants should be wanting to take a shower or use a recreation building every day. Still, it's hard to tell with 100 duplicants exactly what is falling on the floor, and we had a long time where we were only getting 97, 98, 99 duplicants on like the second or third day before it would finally flop and not work out. So I don't know what the deal was, but this definitely helped out. So I really appreciate you guys' ideas and feedback. And I'm glad that we got to the bottom of exactly what would cause this, because I could easily see what we were doing before of just letting the duplicants running on the wheels and never charging the batteries all the way and getting really inconsistent results. But this setup definitely did it, so Gossman just got one if they hadn't gotten one already. Let's see what we're at now as I continue to stall. 93. All right, we're going to get it. I'm going to try to keep this segment all together, all in one. Here's the other hydrogen setup that is going on. By the way, one of the things that's kind of rough on this expansion is there's not as much igneous rock here as I would like. I'm still mining out the bottom here to grab a whole bunch of igneous rock, but getting it sent up here and getting duplicants to use it on the things that we need has been kind of a challenge. This is waiting on aluminum right now, which I still don't understand why it's taking them so long to get all this stuff here. What I could do, and I've been letting my duplicants in and out of here every once in a while just to release them in here to get what they need. So maybe I'll allow that, but I don't want to jeopardize the achievement right now. Let's see. So yeah, now that our power grid is pretty stable, the next video that we're going to be covering is going to be probably finishing the game. While all this has been going on, we've been ramping up our production of ethanol by capturing another room over here, or at least we will be once I finish it. Oh no, it is done. Okay, there we go. So we are definitely making progress towards the late game here, and the ethanol is going to matter because now that we're running so low on phosphorite, we're not getting as much ethanol production to run all of our farms right now. So this is all looking pretty sad. Our calories are actually looking pretty good, but just more demonstration. Oh, by the way, we're running out of power here, so perfect timing for all the hydrogen stuff to come up, because we have now used all of our mercury. But yeah, so the last video is, or the next video is going to be the last one, and that's going to be one where we grab the rest of the achievements and we finish up the star map. As far as researching, oh, I need to build a telescope in order for us to actually be able to see it. Okay, well, that's kind of annoying. I deconstructed it because it was in a little bit of a unpleasant position compared to what we need. Where is this? Is this in stations? Huh, I swear they moved this and spaced out. That's why it's so confusing. Anyway, I'll get this rebuilt, but we have the rest of the star map all seen. So we need to get out there and we need to finish up the rest of these achievements. Come on, why is this taking so long now? I thought this would be done by now. 99 out of 100. Watch us really have to sweat this out. But the things that we have left are the Great Escape, which is just getting to the temporal tear. We need to build the monument, which should be pretty easy. We have the resources for that. We need to tame a gassy moo, which basically means we just need to get out there far enough. We also need to tame a bunch of the typical critters that you usually wouldn't have to go searching for on these other planets. So assuming this is all still possible, especially the Pacu, I've still never seen one in this run, so I hope it's out there somewhere. That'll be easy, reducing the temperature, refining metal with smooth hatches. Yeah, we should be able to get all that stuff in the next video for sure. All right, let's see who we're waiting on. It's usually somebody in one of these outer colonies that needs to do something. So a lot of times it's these cooks. So we could be waiting for someone to shower. It could be you. It could be you, Stinky. So a lot of times we're waiting for someone to shower. We're waiting for someone to finish on the beach chair. Waiting for someone to dance or something like that. A lot of times it is these outer colonies that is causing these problems. But yeah, now we could probably start decommissioning a lot of these things. It's definitely not Amari. Who is it? Who is it? There we go. It might have actually been Amari because he just finished. Yes! That was a adventure and extreme... And it doesn't play the animation for me? Come on. It's unlocked. What are you doing? Come on, game. We went through all that work and it's like, hey, yeah, we're not going to animate it for you. Take that. Jeez. All right, there. Finally. Jeez. Job suitability. That was rough. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, next video, we're going to finish everything up. We are going to get all the last achievements, which basically means completing the game. We need to start off by running a bunch of rocket missions, mostly for research, but we'll start doing that in the next video for sure. So thank you very much for your help. That was a wild ride and interesting to learn the things that we learned, but we'll learn a lot more in future videos, and especially the next one, which will be out in the next couple days. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here soon.